Hey guys, welcome back with Toddy and Mitch on the Use Break podcast. I hope you missed us because we missed you. What we're going to chat about first off today, we've had a lot of people reach out that have seen our 2-year free repair parts offer with our machines and just wanting to know a little bit more about that and what it actually entails and what you get. So obviously this is on top of our 3-year full replacement warranty that we already offer with our machines. So the 2-year free repair parts with the machines, Toddy, what does it mean for our customers?
So, in short, we're super passionate about empowering people and enabling people to become more self-reliant because if, there's one thing I've learned is you can't rely on anyone other than yourself. Because if you don't do it, you can't guarantee it'll get done. Now, there are people you can rely on.
Bro, you can rely on me.
I know.
Okay, thanks.
But what we like, the best part about what I always like to do when I was a service tech was I wanted that control to be able to, if there's an issue, I want to fix it. Because I convinced you to buy a machine, I want to be able to back it up if there's an issue. Which is, doesn't happen all the time. I won't say it's common, but it's not uncommon. So what brought it about was we love training as well. So what we're offering is if you buy one of our machines, an SGC3 or bigger, you can unlock 2 years free repair parts by attending our training session, which comes for free if you buy a machine. Now, the benefit is the training session, we're actually going to educate you on how to avoid the costly downtime. Because most of the time when there is an issue, it can be resolved in a matter of seconds or minutes with a little bit of know-how, but also it can prevent long-term or short-term rapid premature wear. So, for example, roof membrane. It's very common because it's so thick especially in the wintertime, but just in general, that you'll develop some back pressure in it that will force the top ball to sit funny. And the pump will still work, but you'll notice it works a lot harder, heats up, melts the packings, and then you're out of a rebuild. So even if that was the case with us, we would still replace the pump for you, but we would go through the process of saying, look, this is what caused it, this is how you prevent it. And the long-term idea is that you'll be able to get the longest life out of your pump, and then you can be back up and running, quickly. So the reason why we say repair parts is because obviously if you don't clean your pump out properly, we got to actually take the time to clean it out. Of course, we're going to charge you for that. But if the pump wears out, pump spray valve wears out, pistons, packings, any of that stuff was to wear out, doesn't matter how long it takes, we'll replace the parts for free. And if you're in an area that doesn't have one of our service agents, we'll just send you the part, send you a video how to do it, and if you have any dramas, you just ring us and we'll show you how to do it via FaceTime.
Yeah, well,
how good is that?
Yeah, well, it's two things about that is that we want to make it clear to people that we back our machines in a world that we're living in with a lot of machines, appliances, our competitors in the market. It's interesting where you hear about, new and improved and 3 times better and 5 times better, but the warranties are lower. It doesn't make any sense. And with our machines coming to the market, that we want to show you that we stand by our machines and that we're willing to offer the 2 years free repairs and repair parts on the back end. So, you're buying a machine, you're making that investment, you're getting the training, okay? And then on the back end, you don't have to worry about repairs on your machine for 2 years. Like now, some of our competitor machines, you get a repair done in the first 2 years. It could be anywhere from $500 to $1,000, which is a lot. But if that happens with one of our machines, we'll replace it. Now, what do we do that? Show you that we back our machines and that we don't expect anything to happen to them as long as they're looked after properly, used properly. Yeah. And then, as I said, you don't have to worry about anything for 2 years. So how good's that, in the words of Toddy?
The other thing too, just to reiterate what you're saying, is most of the issues, which you'll find that was one of the biggest learnings I got when I was at Dulux. Holy. Once you open these things up, they're all the same. There's not much difference between them all. And so once you realize that, and once you realize that the vast majority of dramas you have are avoidable, and the cost the machine's going to cost your business goes dramatically down when you don't have to leave on a Monday and just pray to the spray gods that someone will look after your machine for you. You can just sort it out, and then at bare minimum, you can do these 3 or 4 things, check them, and if it doesn't fix it, at least you know if you're going to send it to a service center, it needs it, and so you're not going to get it back that day. But lucky for us, we'll just supply it with the part, and you can fit it the same day.
Well, so the thing is that I think about with that too, bro, is like from the business owner to other business owners out there. You probably do look after your machine. You take care. You make sure it's clean. You do it. But what does your staff do with it? Do they look after it, as good as you do? Do they care about it as much as you do?
Probably not.
Probably not. So, it's important that, one, they're educated, and obviously, with that support as well, and knowing that, repair parts and that are covered, you're just limiting your risk and improving the overall standard of your business, because, as we say all the time, all the machines are the same. Essentially, they all put paint, on the ceilings and walls. The only difference is the person that's using it. So, people, should think about that in a competitive market. How are you gaining an edge? So
the other thing too is, from a business owner's perspective as well, because we actually train the guys up, and then when it has a drama, we actually show them why the drama happens. You can actually hold them accountable. Say, bro, you've been taught this, you know how to do this. Why haven't you done X, Y, and Z? So you can actually because you've actually invested in your employees to be empowered to remove that as a pain point. Obviously, we know it takes time to learn, but there's very simple things, very simple processes and habits you can make in your day-to-day that will drastically reduce the risk of having those issues. You're paying your guys to do it, so you might as well make sure they're doing it, and then it'll save you. The cost of spray is not using it when you need to use it. So if you can eliminate that as much as possible, it's a win.
Yeah, it's a downtime, if you got 4 guys standing around ready to spray and the machine's not working and they don't know how to fix it, there's a good chance that they're probably going to be sitting around for the next couple of hours, waiting. So, that's a lot of wages and no money being made. So, a few ways to look at it. But something we spoke about on the last podcast, Toddy, some exciting products that we have coming, and we have a few different diaphragm machine options. One being a petrol machine, which is awesome. Which we've got a lot of guys excited about that have been trialing and testing them to date. But one thing I wanted to talk about, when considering diaphragms, piston machines, and stuff like that, which we spoke about a couple of podcasts ago, but when it comes to 2-packs and oil-based products, we like to steer people into diaphragm pumps, for a few different reasons. Like, can have a hopper on it, it's gravity fed, easier for the flow when you're mixing in thinners, terps or whatever. It's easy just to mix straight into that hopper. Obviously, when it goes, it goes down through the inlet, through a small chamber, through the outlet, and there's not many sections it goes through that paint can get dried or caught or anything like that. So that's a huge, huge plus. Also, when it comes to parts as well, parts on the diaphragm machines are cheaper in a lot of piston than airless machines. And the other thing I wanted to talk about is if you could give us your reasoning about why you would consider using a diaphragm over a piston pump in relation to possibly sparking.
Yeah. So, in the main reason that I've found is if you look at the specs of most piston pumps, I won't say all because I haven't looked at them all, but most piston pumps will say not suitable for many solvents because there's a risk of ignition and fire because there's static built up and there's a spark in some of the motors. Whereas in many of the diaphragm pump data sheets that I've read, they actually recommend it's okay to a specific flash point. So that's one main reason. If you have to use an electric driven machine to spray some solvents, and the diaphragm pump's more suitable for that. The components are more solvent resistant, whereas if you look at most piston pumps out there, you got leather packings, which don't like many solvents, and so you'll find those will get worn out much quicker or eaten away much quicker. And then to go more to your point, the amount of solvents required to flush out a diaphragm pump is substantially less, especially if you use a hopper, because like you said, the fluid chamber is only a teaspoon or less compared to a piston pump, which is a nice big fluid chamber. And so you use way less thinners, which oftentimes if you're using 2-packs or enamels or that sort of stuff, the thinners are quite expensive, and the products are often really expensive too. Like most 2-packs I've ever used are not 2-3 times the price of normal paints, and you have to use thinners to clean them out. So if you can save there, that's always a plus.
Yeah, no, it definitely is, and also obviously with the diaphragms, you can use a 7.5 meter hose, which is handy as well, because there is some guys that they'll use 2-pack or whatever and just throw the hose out and then start again and not worry about the cleanup as much. So yeah, there's a few different things to weigh up, but I think we can agree regardless that a diaphragm pump is handy to have in your arsenal for sure. So now the other thing that I wanted to chat about, just when you were talking about data sheets, right? Now, it's interesting when you look at data sheets because guys approach us and like, oh, I've got this product. What tip do I need to use? Can I spray it out of my machine? Everything like that. Now, it's interesting. A lot of the time they'll say, a 17 thou tip for, ceilings and walls, roof 21 thou tip. But when you think about those things, there's so many variables to that as well. When you could be a fast sprayer, you could be a slow sprayer. So if you're a fast sprayer, you're not actually putting on the right amount of film thickness. Or if you're a slow sprayer, you're putting on way too much.
Yeah.
So it's I don't know. It's weird when you look at that, because it's even like the discussion that we've had with you spray out a townhouse and you use a certain amount of paint. You get your apprentice to use the same tip. Does the next townhouses uses 2 drums more than you did, and he's using the same tip, but the tip's letting out the same litres per minute, but the applicator is going a lot slower. So there's more to consider with application than just reading the data sheet, because for me, on with externals, I would prefer to use a 415. And I like to move a little bit slow when I'm doing cladding and stuff like that. More controlled, a little bit slower. You may be on planks or ladders or stuff like that. But just because I'm going a smaller tip doesn't mean I'm not getting the right film thickness. I'm just going a bit slower. So, there are things to consider when you're doing application. I talk about this one a lot with roofs. I mean, 21 thou tip, great. But if it's just a basic roof like that, sure, like you definitely get the right amount of paint on. But if it's like that, and you're working off, a ladder, or it's, steep enough that you really have to go slow and you're using a 21 thou tip, you're just going to use a ton of product, where you could actually drop down your tip. And that's why, when it comes to roofing sort of stuff, like your your high build primers and your top coats, definitely 21 thou tip, but then with your undercoats, like your metal primers and WB primers and stuff like that, or your Grano primes, your Acrotex primes that are thin, you can go to a 517, because it's a thinner product. Yeah, and but some guys will just use a 21 thou tip and just cake it on. You're putting way too much product. So yeah, there's things to consider when you're looking at data sheets and how you want to spray something, how quick you want to move, the fan size, everything like that. So
yeah, the main thing would be to more so outside. Inside, you're kind of protected because there's no elements. But what really matters in a data sheet is from a application point of view, is the micron film thickness. So because why that matters is because for you to be covered under warranty, you got to actually hit a specific thickness. And like you said before, if I use a 621 to spray roof, and use a 621 to spray roof, because it takes me twice as many steps as it takes you to do it, you'll probably find the thicknesses are different. So it's important to occasionally measure your wet film thickness to determine if you're in spec or not, because I might be using way more product. And an example of this is before I left Dulux, I was involved in a training session with one of the bigger commercial painters in Australia. I won't mention any names, but you'll know who I'm talking about. Anyways, we were doing training and we were spraying out this fake house they had built on the inside. And I had the team spraying. And I asked them, I was like, is that how you would normally apply it? Like, yeah. Because I was just curious because we were talking about wet film thickness. And I measured it and it was like 200 microns. And the one coat wet film thickness recommendation from Dulux was 86 microns. And I thought, holy, by rights, they're done. That's way too thick, but that's going to dry to thicker than the dry film thickness. Now, if that dries, sweet, all good. But now they're going to go do a second coat as per their spec. So this scene, I was like, holy, these guys are using potentially 4 or 5 times more paint than they should, And so we actually tried to do it a bit quicker, and we found you could actually move quite a bit quickly to actually achieve that 86 microns. And I just thought, man, obviously now I know why they're not going to rush down and tell these guys. Because I was like, they're using so much paint. But it was like, if you can measure that and get that right, your paint usage is going to go way down. Yeah. And like typically it's such a wide variable. I mean, if one guy's using a 517 and one guy's using a 317, they're going to have a massive difference in experience when the spec says use a 17 thou tip. Yeah. It's like, that could mean anything. So it's like, it's important to, if you don't know how to learn how to measure it, your wet film thickness, and just check it from time to time to make sure you're on spec. And if you look at any industrial job where they hold you to the fire if you don't do it, every meter or so, they got to measure it, make sure they're on spec, because no one wants to be responsible for the inside of a skyscraper from corroding, Yeah. And so it's, and you might find, if your roof's fading all the time, your externals are fading all the time, it could be because you're not putting it on thick enough. Usually that's why. Or vice versa, you might be able to find, oh man, I'm actually using way more paint than I need to on this roof, and I'm using a 621. Maybe I can use a 619 and save a bit of paint. Well,
you even get guys going, I'm just getting runs all the time. Like they can't, they can't do it. I'm using the tip that that it recommends. It's probably, it could be because you're not moving as fast as you need to, like, change up the tip. And
just because it can go through the tip doesn't mean you should. Like, we use, full disclosure, when we do training, we use industrial roof coatings, roof membrane, when we're spraying doors, often, for 2 reasons. One, to highlight our machines can smash roof membrane, no dramas. But spray is still nice through like a 210 or a 310 fine finish tip. And it's like, you wouldn't recommend that for a roof. But I just, just to highlight how clean and nice industrial roof coatings is. Shout out to IRC. But a spray is immaculate through small tips. So it's like, but just because it can and it'll cover amazing, doesn't mean you should, because you're not going to get that film thickness. And you're, again, if it fades, it's always going to be your fault because you didn't put it on thick enough. So it's, you probably could use it if you want to go this slow the whole way. But yeah, so that's it's good. It's good practice to do it every once in a while. Get your guys to, especially on externals, because that's where it matters, and that's where you're most likely going to have a failure. Or another place inside is in a kitchen or a laundry room where, you want this awesome mold protection, but are you getting mold all of a sudden? They'll just measure that not thick enough. So it's like there's another place inside where it's really important to check that if you want to make sure you're not going to have mold in the house.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Right. The mold thing's another one. I remember, use this expensive paint, put in this expensive additive to stop mold. Like, tell you what stops mold? Ventilation. You know what I mean? Oh, man. Yeah, amount of mouldy ceilings I've done over that. Like, you go in there, it's like windows never open. Vents. Yeah, wild. But yeah, that closes us out for another episode. Until next time, keep spraying.